Proszę.
So, if you know me, there's no way right now that you're not aware of my obsession with the 2025 film The Ugly Stepsister. If you don't know me, I'm Robin Wright, editor-in-chief of Filmotomy. And in relation to this following review, a complete DVD extras, nuts. So, yeah, Second Sight Films, hot as hell physical media distributor, certainly bankrupt me if I were to buy all of their extraordinary titles. I mean, there's so much, not just the quality of the films, but the extras and the stuff that's on there. It's a bit of a dream for me, really. So they're only feeding my addiction, really. But please do not stop doing so. This was released, I've got it here. This was released the 23rd of February. I was looking forward to it very much so. It's a Second Sight Films Ugly Stepsister limited edition, and it's arrived at the perfect time, really. Dual format, both high quality definition Blu-ray, presents the film an abundance of extra goodies. So the limited edition contents are essentially a treasure chest for me and many of you. You know, first we're greeted by the modified, dazzling, ugly stepsister artwork by Anne Bemby. We're accompanied by not only the two double DVD sleeve, but also six like sturdy collector cards. Familiar, glorious images I've seen before from the film, but it's great to have them in this format. Also, the 120-page book, which I'm always astonished about the amount of pages that are in these books. It's not just some pamphlet. This is a 126-page book with, various film essays, which we will touch on. An introduction from the writer-director, Emily Blichfeld, also. So, I mean, brilliant so far. I'll be honest, the book had a fresh whiff of newly decorated house, which make of that what you will, weird or not, it was delightful. The book itself is beautifully presented, page for page, as well as those film ratings. There are some example storyboards in there alongside some of the final shots from the film, which is fascinating. And the essays delved into various aspects of the Ugly Stepsisters themes, are a real treat. I mean, I'd love to read some of the examples. It will just take too long, and and I'd like you to go out and buy this yourself. I don't want to spoil it. Honestly, it's a gorgeous little book. Massive credit to the content creators here. Elsewhere, if you can put the book down, which I had trouble with, there is a deleted scene on the DVD, also discussed in some of the interview content as well. Two commentaries, really good ones. Video essay, several interviews with key cast and crew, a lot of which you'll have seen doing the circuit, as well as Emily Blichfeld herself. And that's not all. There's two of her short films from 2018, and they're here to view in their entirety, which is amazing. So the audio commentary, which I'll touch on from Emily, is filmmaker also Patrick Stuyvesant, who is perhaps best known, according to Blichfeld, for his 2008 horror film, Manhunt, which you should check out. I'm not going to give too much away from this, amazing discussion, but Blichfeld talks about various risks she took during the execution of the film, from writing to, actually making it and production on set and etc., including the editing as well, which was a real challenge. Like not being afraid to camp up the acting in places or give that feeling of it was overproduced, which it certainly wasn't budget-wise. Filmmaker is also very candid about her influences for The Ugly Stepsister. Most notably with the eyelash sequence, she adopted, you may or may not know, visual references for Cronenberg's Dead Ringers, also probably more directly, Opera by Dario Argento. The second commentary, what a bonus, comes from journalist Megan Navarro from the outlet Bloody Disgusting. Navarro's passionate, thoughtful commentary also pays notice to the 70s Italian horrors, as well as some significant modern day comparisons. Notably, Navarro hits the nail on the head. State Ugly Sepsis is kind of having a conversation with a film like The Substance, and yet they're so very different. And I agree with you, Megan, as well about the numerous examples of some truly amazing non-verbal acting in this film. So no, it won't get annoying to me personally. Please keep talking about it. We've also got Emily Bitchfield interview, which is titled "This Is My Ball." That's referencing the glamorous ball sequence in the film, which was just one of many ambitious ventures Filmmaker tells us about the logical impact of her creative naps that she used to have, as well as her own personal journey of, beauty standards, finding the shoe that fits, so to speak. And this was personally as well, we learn about the amount of years she spent developing her, honing in on her storytelling and script writing skills. And I love that she's still clearly riding the wave of this film's successful journey. I mean, further movie references, there's so many. I was delighted to hear about the inspired chunks of it from The Ugly Stepsister, which includes the Czech version of Beauty and the Beast from 1978, and also the obviously Three Wishes for Cinderella, which is also from what was then Czechoslovakia. And also there's some of the outdoor scenes. She references Picnic at Hanging Rock, which is also an astonishing masterpiece. There's two short films, as I mentioned, from Emily Blitzfeld on here, both from 2018. How Do You Like My Hair features the filmmaker herself. It's a kind of talking heads narrative, but in integral transition when the girl becomes a woman, it literally explores that female form and all its curves and wobbles and tones. So often we don't talk about how a filmmaker demonstrates a seemingly perfect grasp of her visuals and, like every single edit, but I think Blitzfeld does that, not just in The Ugly Stepsister, but in these two short films, and this one in particular, there's several tones that blend through it, like some really nice color choices and captivating, motions of shadow and light, where it never appears to be too showy. So the other short film, Sarah's Intimate Confessions, has like this ideal romantic opening, which kind of reminds me of what happens in The Ugly Stepsister. This is more of a modern setting, though. So Emily Blitzfeld, some 7 years before her feature debut, has remained utterly faithful to that weight of female beauty standards, both from the outside world and internally as well. The breaks from reality also take form in this short through like sporadic animation moments. Most notably, it's Sarah's like kind of pencil sketch vagina, which talks to her. These satirical moments do provide a kind of organic humor, but they are obviously deep-seated in a woman's self-confidence and perception from others as well. I mean, short films can be fleeting, but this does cram in the tropes of the, finally communally valued female gaze and blows a fresh breeze across our faces, whichever gender you are. Back to the Ugly Stepsister itself, there are also some interviews on this limited edition. Two of the key actresses, fascinating and refreshing, forthright. Hearing Leah Myron speak, the lead who plays Elvira, she talks about her glowing reaction to this like refreshing take on the period film. The actress shares feminist outlooks with Emily, the filmmaker, which only added to her high anticipation of what was essentially a first feature film. Myron also glows about the preparation for the role, both physically and mentally, really took to the challenge, including how facial expressions were so important in this film, especially given the prosthetics that she had to wear as well. But pretty much the entire film, barring a couple of scenes, believe it or not, and how the makeup aspect was such a massive part for her and the film and what they were all trying to say. And in that, the actress tells us about how much she discovered about the artistry of makeup in this and was, truly inspired by Thomas Roldberg, the makeup artist. The second of the two actress interviews is with Thea Sophie Loch Ness, who has known Emily Blitzfeld for a few years and actually learned Swedish for this role as Agnes in The Ugly Stepsister, the Cinderella character. That it was a dream come true to play the grim version of Cinderella. She was also blown away by, co-star Liam Myron's transformation throughout the film's production. Speaking of Agnes, journalist Kat Hughes' video essay is also crammed with, absolutely so much well thought out discourse and love for the Ugly Stepsister and the Cinderella story and history of it and what inspired it as well. Hughes really expertly talks about the sort of ancient dark origins of the fairy tale. And I agree with Hughes that this version is really unlike anything we've witnessed before. Here, Agnes is a more callous and interesting character, ultimately, and the illuminated analysis by Hughes, compares the roles and intentions of the father role, her supposed love for the prince, and the virginal depiction of the Cinderella character. I mean, it all had me hooked. I can't reveal all the deep thought and well-researched content of this essay here and a lot of the other stuff. In case you haven't realised so far, I do highly recommend this limited edition of The Ugly Stepsister in all its, analytical glory. Just given the current voting for the Academy Awards and chose to speak about the final section Yeah, two hugely insightful cuts of an interview are also here with makeup artist Thomas Foldberg. Perfect way to wrap this up, I think. Foldberg, of course, Oscar nominated for Best Makeup and Hairstyling with Anne Catherine Sauberg for The Ugly Stepsister and should win, might I add. Foldberg cites the greats of the industry, Rick Baker, Dick Smith, and he really wanted to break into the industry when he was younger and saw their work, American Wealth in London, I think is quoted at one point. But the work on The Ugly Stepsister is truly remarkable from a makeup perspective, on so many levels, across what amounts to possibly 90 to 95% of the entire picture. So gratifying and inspiring to see how many people are talking about the extensive, marvelous makeup work that's done at the moment in the industry. Learning about this work on the Ugly Stepsister, only enhances my love for the film. I mean, the eyelash cosmetics, the mold of Leah's face, including her eye during that extreme close-up of the stitching. There's the toe cutting, the foot with the small slices so blood can seep out, fake leg with the actual moving joints, replica of the bottom half of Leah's face, the cluster of the tapewebs, exit her throat and mouth, the silicone forehead, nose, contact lenses, the slimy tapeworm, passing through her mouth, and then poor dead otter rotting, and the various like face replicas they had to use throughout many stages of his decomposing, and everything was sculpted from scratch. I mean, my God, it's just breathtaking. I spoke to Follberg and Soderbergh a few weeks ago, and it was mind-blowing to hear them talk about how the actress Leah Myron was wearing prosthetics through the entire first half of the film. The face, neck, arms, chest, watching this, there's a supercut of the hours that Leah spent in the chair as Thomas and his team apply the cheeks, the shoulders, upper chest, arms, and then seamlessly merge for what's such a subtle but integral body shape that changed to Elvira, I was screaming at the screen when I first saw it, just give him and the team the fucking Oscar already. Excuse my language. So yeah, I mean, huge thanks to Second Sight Films for putting this together. It is astonishing for a super nerd like me to own this amazing content from all involved as well. Love to thank you all individually. I will do so. Thank you for IFC and Shudder too for some recent opportunities that got me involved in the film's publicity. I'm really rooting for this film, but it's outside of the award season. It's great to celebrate this film. Thank you, Emily, Thomas and Catherine, the whole cast crew, of course, Majestic Leia. I would dance with you all night long. I don't care who walks into the room. Yes, just go buy the Ugly Stepsister limited edition box set, from Second Sight Films. Really easy sell. I do have to go now because my stomach is growling and I'm about to have a shoe fitting. But thank you all for listening.
Stop, stop, stop.